If you're a homeowner in Richlands, North Carolina, you might think the biggest threat to your property is a hurricane or maybe a flood. But what if I told you the real danger is something much quieter, something hidden right under your feet? We're talking about your septic system and the unique, frankly difficult challenge it faces from the ground it's buried in. So to really get what's going on, you have to understand the dirt itself. You see, if you're closer to the coast in Onslow County, you've got that sandy soil. Water just zips right through it, no problem. But out here in Richlands, it's the complete opposite. We are dealing with a dense, compacted clay that, well, it just doesn't let water go. It traps it, holding onto it like a vice, and that creates a huge problem for any septic system that's trying to do its job. And this isn't just some random quirk of geology. No, the roots of this problem go way back into the area's history. A lot of the land in Richlands used to be farmland, pastures, or timber property. All those decades of activity have permanently changed the soil, creating this silent threat that honestly many homeowners are living right on top of without even knowing it. Probably the best way to picture what's happening is to think of the clay soil around your drain field as slow-drying cement. Once it gets totally saturated with water, that's it. It just can't absorb or release any more. The whole system just locks up, and that is when the real trouble starts. Okay, so let's break it down. Why is this clay so destructive? There are really three main enemies, three big culprits working against your septic system, and they're all born from the soil itself. First up, you've got deep compaction. Years and years of farming, tractors, livestock, literally squeeze the life out of this soil, making it incredibly hard for water to drain down. Second, the clay's natural ability to hold on to moisture is just off the charts. It's like a sponge that never fully wrings out. It stays saturated long after it rains, leaving zero room for the wastewater coming from your house. And finally, the soil isn't even one consistent layer. You get these uneven patches of clay and rock that create these little underground pockets where water gets trapped, which can cause a system to fail years before it's supposed to. So that's the science part. But what does this actually mean for you living in your home? This is where the geology problem turns into a very real and often very expensive headache. These right here, these are the whispers before the scream. A slow drain, a toilet that gurgles, these are not just minor annoyances. In a place like Richlands, they're critical warning signs that your drain field is already full and struggling to keep up. You know that spongy feeling in your yard, even when it hasn't rained in days? That's the ground itself telling you, I'm full. I can't take any more water. And ignoring those gurgling toilets and slow drains, well, it can lead you straight here, a full drain field replacement. And let me tell you, that is a massive, disruptive job. We're talking major excavation, and the repair costs often fly right past $15,000. So who's most at risk here? Well, the factors really start to stack up. First, you've got the older systems, a lot of them installed before modern soil testing was even a thing. Then you have homes built on that former farmland, especially in areas like Roadstown or Catherine Lake, where that soil is just incredibly compacted. And finally, the weather makes everything worse. Heavy rain saturates the clay, a long drought can harden it like a brick, and a cold winter slows everything down to a crawl. It's just this relentless cycle of stress on your system. Okay, but there is a defense against all this. The key is to stop guessing and start knowing what's actually going on. And that's where a specialized septic inspection comes in. It's all about getting an expert to take a deep look below the surface to see what that clay is really hiding. Now, it's so important to understand this because this clay soil is so good at hiding a failure until it's a catastrophe. A standard quick check just won't cut it. A proper inspection in Richlands has to be more like a forensic investigation, hunting for all the little clues that point to a system under serious stress. And this quote right here, this is the smoking gun that inspectors are looking for. When they open up that septic tank and see that the water level is higher than the pipe leading out, it is a near certain sign of failure. It proves that water isn't escaping into the soil like it's supposed to. Instead, the saturated ground is holding it back, or even worse, pushing it back into the tank. So a specialized inspection is a comprehensive deep dive. Experts will find every single component of your system. They'll check for that critical sign of backflow. They'll take precise water level measurements. They'll analyze the soil for sogginess, and they'll identify installation flaws common in older systems that just weren't built to handle this kind of tough clay. You know, at the end of the day, that old saying has never been more true. A proactive inspection is that ounce of prevention that can save you from dealing with a literal ton of contaminated soil and a mountain of bills for the cure. The choice is pretty stark when you lay it out like this. On one side, you've got a proactive inspection. That gives you early detection, peace of mind, and it saves you thousands of dollars. On the other side, well, that's the path of ignoring the signs, which almost always leads to system failure, sewage backups, and catastrophic costs. And you have to remember, an oversaturated clay drain field very, very rarely gets better on its own. The ground beneath your home has a story to tell. It's a story of decades of farming, of intense compression, and of a unique geology that puts your biggest investment at risk. The only way to really know how that story ends is to look. So the real question is, what is your soil hiding?